Hey everyone, welcome back to Light Shine Desserts, where you can get your daily dose of baking, the Word of God, decorating, and much more. So as you can tell by the title, we are going to be doing some more cake decorating practice. Like I've said before, I think I don't want to necessarily do cakes in my business just yet because I still want to practice on the decorating. If you've seen some of my other cakes before on my channel, they seem to be good or okay, at least in my opinion. But just getting that plain, simple, smooth cake is something that I'm really trying to work on before I start adding all that extra stuff. Whether it's like a different type of design, like a rosette cake, or maybe you're trying to draw out some sort of character on that cake. And I'm just trying to really work on that before doing all those extra things. So I am making a small little 2-layer 6-inch chocolate cake, and it's not going to be too big. So I really want to be able to test out the different sizes that I might be doing. So for this, I used 4 sticks of butter or 2 cups of butter to around maybe 4.5 cups of powdered sugar. And then just basic vanilla. I'm just going to keep it plain white because I really want to be able to see the details and things where I need to work on smoothing and decorating wise, if that makes sense. So right now we're going to start on it. I have a 8-inch cake board, and like I said before, this is a 6-inch layered cake. So a little bit of the cake kind of fell off, so couldn't really use that. But right now we're just adding the simple syrup because this has been in the freezer for maybe a week and a half. So you really want to use that just to make sure that it stays moist, even though, yes, the cake in general might be moist, but being in the freezer or fridge can dry out a cake, no matter how moist it might be. So I want to be doing the chocolate cake, and then I want to fill it with a chocolate ganache filling. So I'm just going to add a really small amount of the vanilla buttercream, and then I'm just going to border around it so then it can keep hold of the ganache filling I'm going to add in. I just kept this sitting out because I did make this the day of. Because I wanted a small amount, I couldn't necessarily follow an exact recipe of how much chocolate I should use to how much heavy cream. So I kind of just guessed basing on how it looked. I think this could be a little thinner. I could still spread it, but like once, cutting into the cake, it could be a little bit more not as thick of a ganache, if that makes sense. I think this would be good if I was going to be doing maybe some like piping or something like that. So right now I'm just going to be adding a whole bunch of frosting onto the cake and starting the crumb coat. Usually I put frosting on the sides and then I also put some on top. But for most people, if you watch their videos and things, they usually start from the top to make sure that it's like smooth and then just let all the frosting left over go over the sides and then they can smooth it out like that. I try doing that. I prefer just adding as much frosting I need to on the sides and then also the top if I need to, but this is a good way to do it if you don't like doing that way. So for the crumb coat, I think it could have locked in a little bit more crumbs, or I could have done like maybe a double crumb coat, because once we get to the final coat, you want to make sure that the crumbs are super locked in. Obviously, you don't want your cake to be like frozen or anything, but just doing the double crumb coat helps secure it. Because as you can see, there are still some spots where like the cake isn't fully covered in the buttercream. It is having some buttercream. It does have some buttercream on it, but it could use a little bit more just to make sure that they're locked in once we actually fully start decorating the cake. So right now we're on our final layer, the final coat of buttercream. I'm just going to be adding a whole bunch on there, and again doing that smoothing thing where you go from the top and just smooth it down. For me, when doing this, it's kind of hard to make it like straight, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of creates a bunch of excess frosting on the top because of you just spreading it all on there. And hopefully for smoothing it out, it does help that a little bit. But again, right now we're just spreading it all over so then we can smooth it out with the bench scraper. So for here, I think just doing it a little bit more even when spreading the frosting, it could help for when I'm going to actually try to smooth it out, because here, as you can see, it's starting to kind of be see-through, and this is the part where I really don't like, because then I have to keep going over and over it again. When watching other videos, people actually do this a little differently. They don't like put their hand like all the way in front of them and swirl it around, if that's if you caught that when I did it. Another thing is, when doing this, I would like heat up my bench scraper, and it kind of would melt it a little bit. But as you can see, it's not very smooth, but I was just try my best. It could be much better. Hopefully the next time I do another cake, I can use those tips that I learned from other videos and try again for smoothness. But this is the end result. The cake tasted really good. My sister, who doesn't really like chocolate cake, said she liked this. And she says because she liked it, there's not enough chocolate to it. I think it's just because for most chocolate cakes, they don't have that much sweetness to it with the cocoa. So it's like chocolate, but could be more sweet. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, tips, or things you want me to bake in the future, feel free to comment down below, and have a blessed week. Bye.